All right. 1 o'clock, this is the time and place for the special meeting, regarding the cautionary measures for the water, for that, what is it, the northeast construction area. All right. Meeting called to order at 1 o'clock. Who would like to talk? No? All right. Josh, can you come tell us what's going on, bud?
Yep. So this morning, it was discovered out on the project site that some valves were on the water main system, which were supposed to isolate a portion of the water main that had not passed the state required bacteriological testing, excuse me. So what that means essentially is there is a potential that some of that water that had not passed the testing is migrated throughout a portion of the city's water system, which of course is a potential concern related to health of people drinking the water. There is concern of that. Nothing's been totally determined if there is, but it's precautionary at this point that it's evaluated and addressed, so that we're sure that there's no risk to the water supply throughout town. So essentially, what the state requires before new installed water main is put online is that 2 passing bacteriological tests are taken 24 hours apart, and that had not been accomplished prior to this event. So the public should be aware of the situation, and precautions should be taken until the results are received that indicate otherwise.
Okay, and so is this localized to a specific area to your knowledge, or?
So the water main would have been on the water main that was that had not passed the test. It was on 4th Street and north of 4th up to just north of the park building there. So the question is what direction was there draws of water at that time, or through that time period of the water being on. So knowing exactly where that water could have moved to, it's hard to say. Hess being a large water draw, both that way could have moved water that direction. But again, not knowing exactly what areas were drawing at that through that time period, it's hard to say exactly. But the immediate project area, probably a block or 2 out from that area, is probably most likely that could have headed that.
All right, so I know you said this is all precautionary. What would be your recommendation right now? If you have.
Not specifically. I know that the city's been taking some samples. Acted quickly. City public works staff took some water samples, and those are on the way out to the testing facility to be sampled and tested. So that's a good first step, of course. And the recommendations from the state health department are probably the most appropriate for potential boil order or whatever other precautions they would potentially recommend.
So then, looking at the construction area going out of block, you think it would be appropriate from putting a precautionary boil order in place for the residences and businesses, say north of 2nd Street Northeast, maybe east of Dixon or Hanson. Over to Highway 40 and then up to 6th Street Northeast on the south side. But we'll just go ahead and include the community center right there because that is there as well. And Hess Corporation, would that be appropriate?
Yeah, that seems to be kind of in that window area that water could have.
Okay. All right.
Can I speak for a second?
Can you come up to the podium, sir?
I did call the health department unit in Minot, and they sent me some paperwork on what they do if they have this issue. Because there's no E. coli in the system, they said that they normally don't do a boil order.
Okay.
Because of call forms, because it could be 1 part in a 100 ml bottle. So it's just basically flush and clean and run your water for a little bit. And of course, it's entirely up to you folks what you want to do, but I just thought I'd let you know that. And I do have that information. Email to you.
Absolutely.
If you can give me an email, I will.
I didn't bring my stuff with my business card that has my email address on it. We'll get that sorted away. We'll get that from you.
Okay, yeah, and then I can send it to you, but I did call them and talk to them about it, and I explained to them what happened. And they said because all of our tests have been satisfactory for no E. coli in the system at all, it's just coliforms. And he said that could be any kind of bacteria, it could be a speck of dirt that was on the top of the bottle. He said it's just hard to say. So he said he didn't feel that we would need to do a boil order, but it's entirely up to you folks too. You have to.
Okay.
And whatever you do will help you guys as much as you can.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any question, or Liz, do you have anything or any questions or anything that you feel from a legal aspect that we need to address?
I don't think so. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I don't think so. I mean, I think that information you've established, you know, the area affected, obviously we need to make sure those in the affected areas are made aware of that. I suppose the commission will be discussing that momentarily as to notify the community of the situation. I guess it was a little bit hard for me to hear the last speaker. Was the suggestion that the prospective boil order may be unnecessary? Is that what I understood? It was cutting out a little bit there. I just want to make sure I understood what the last speaker said.
Right. He said that he had spoke with the Department of Health out of Minot. They provided information and there isn't any E. coli in the water specimens that have been sent. And they can't articulate what
forms there are. It could be a speck of dirt. It's 1 part per million, or 1 part in that 100 ml bottle, and they said so that it's unsatisfactory.
Okay.
It's hard to tell. It could be dirt, it could be, but there's no fecal matter in the system, is what they're saying.
Okay. Did you hear that, Liz?
I did. Okay. And that's a little bit, I guess, different than what I originally understood. Okay. So I got you there. Thank you for clarifying that. I think with that in mind, I don't have further questions other than to listen to the dialogue among the commission, and I'll weigh in if I hear anything goofy.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely precautionary.
Right.
We do that. Now, if that test comes back tomorrow, I guess we're back to business.
Well, yeah, we haven't taken a test him because Jeff asked us to stop flushing. So we were gonna reflush this morning, so we haven't taken a test. Kind of like I talked to you on the phone earlier. At this point, I would like to do a volume flush on that system. Because we passed several times on our first sample, but we failed on our second. So there's something that we're boiling up in that line. And I don't think we're getting the flush out with only a 2-inch line. So I talked to Josh also about it, and if we can figure out where we can flush so that we can do a volume flush in a 4 or 6-inch line for a considerable amount of time to try to get that system cleaned up.
And all the tests are never been.
No E-foil, we've always been satisfactory. It's just been chloroform.
How many tests have failed?
We've had 4 failed, and 3 passes. Always a fail on the second one. We passed 3 times on the first test, but we've always failed on the second. So what we're thinking is that because of we're flushing the system, get the first test after we chlorinated, and that one's good, and then we flush again the next day, we get the next test, we're stirring something up in there, whether it's some dirt or mud or, you know, we can't declare that because you can't see inside. But the water's clear when we're doing it, but there's just enough of something in there. That causes it.
Any other questions?
I guess I just have one more. With regard to the chloroform levels, would you say they were minuscule? I mean, is that how you understood them on the non-pass? I guess what I'm trying to figure out is whether if the boil order, I don't know if the commission, and this is really a commission question, would it be appropriate while you're purging the system or flushing the system, so to speak, would it be appropriate given what we don't know? I see that you're telling us what we do know, and that's good, that there's no known E. coli in the system, but would it be appropriate from a prophylactic standpoint while you're doing the flushing or purging to order the boiling of water during that window? And if so, how long do you anticipate the flushing and purging to take? And testing, I suppose, to figure out what that accomplished.
Yeah, I guess I would hope we could flush for a couple of hours with a high volume flush. And then we would take we could chlorinate the system again, isolate it and chlorinate it. And then we would heat it up for 24 hours, then we would flush it again and then take our sample and see where we're at. And then we'd have to take another sample 24 hours.
Okay.
So the period would probably be, you know, probably about a 3-day period where we would have to, before we get our result back. From the first flush test to the end.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
I think, related to that though, that's getting the portion of water main that now is inactive.
Right.
Which is a separate, I mean, that's all shut off.
That's a separate issue from what you guys are talking.
Yeah. So that's the portion of the system that is shut off. So that's separate from the rest of the system that is actually currently supplying online to the room.
Okay, Josh, you just muddied up there and I want to make sure I understand what you've just said now. So the flushing and purging would be in a separate portion of the system that's already been contained. Like as we stand here today, is the balance of the system contained and without any contamination or concern?
No, so there was, like I mentioned, there were 3 blocks of water main that had not passed the testing. That's the 3 block. That's the area that Bob Ostrada was just talking about, doing the high volume flushing and rechlorination of the water main. And that portion is currently turned back off from the rest of the system.
Okay.
And there's nobody's getting water off of that portion of the system. Any service lines that would be on that are on temporary water. So then there's, you know, the surrounding area, surrounding the water that are potential to have been contaminated. That the city is taking samples at 4 sites at 4 sites to determine if there's, you know, a concern of contamination. Or not if there's a concern, but to validate whether that concern is correct or not.
When will we get the results of the test test?
Tomorrow,
The first set of samples we took in today, will be an 18-hour test, and then they want us to pull some more tomorrow. And then it'll be 18 hours on Saturday, we'll get the second result. So they want us to pull 2 days of samples so that they know that the system is still clean 2 days. We're doing, chlorine residuals in all the places down there today, and we're doing it again tomorrow. Make sure our chlorine levels stay where they're supposed to be. But we won't know if everything's good until Saturday. We get the testing sample tomorrow, down there and they'll test them, we'll be back Saturday. Tomorrow we'll get the results Saturday.
I guess this will be discussion for the board. With I understand there may not be any, E. coli in the system, but I don't feel that we should have had this mistake to begin with,
Oh,
right?
I completely agree.
So, I don't know how much I want to trust that that is an accurate statement. So I believe that it would probably be best just to put it in place for now to be more safe than sorry, because I have to be concerned about the safety of our residents. And if we have another commission meeting on Monday anyway. And we can readdress this then, but I think we should put it into effect as a precaution for the section of Second Street Northeast, northeast of Dixon, to include the community center over to Highway 40. Anybody want to entertain a motion?
I'd make that. I know it's real precautionary, but are we 99% sure? 98, I mean, there's just that chance that I don't think it's, yeah.
And I completely understand where you're coming from, and like I said, all I can do is pass on the information that help you passed on to me, and they said that if there was E. coli in the system, absolutely a boil order, but they said without E. coli being in there on any of our tests, that the chloroform, they can't determine what it is, they can't determine how many parts there is in there, but they said normally the state doesn't require a boil order. I'm just passing that information. You folks have to make the final decision.
Right.
Whatever we can do to help you with that, we will be glad to help, because it should have never happened. It's
Right.
unfortunate, so.
This will be, very short term, so we should have more information tomorrow. Just abundance of caution.
I'll second the motion.
With a motion and a second to use the precautionary boil order for that section of residents and businesses. No questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so moves. Anything else that we need to discuss right now regarding this portion here? Nope. All right.
We can, maybe we get information passed on how the test results come back.
Yeah, we'll get, as soon as we get the test results tomorrow, I'll get them down here so you guys can, and pass them out, and then Saturday, no, we'll be here Saturday, I'll still with you on Saturday, so I'll get them to Tim, somebody. So.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
We'll get this information notated on the city's Facebook page as well as the city's website. We'll create some flyers and do door to door in that section, so those residents and businesses are aware of what the commission is requesting. We'll get the
Can you guys also make sure you post wherever Abby posts the agenda meetings for public consumption too? Just that notice.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, with that being said, can I get an order? I'm sorry, an order. Jeez. A motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion. There's a second. All right, with the motion and a second to adjourn, questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move the vote.
Yes.
Yes. All right, meeting adjourned at 1:20.
Thank you.